Deleted Session, January 7, 1974. Now, good evening. I will be your genial host, and I will, however, apply myself to a discussion of Ruber for now. Some, rough noted of James, said beliefs are becoming more visible, so we shall make them even clearer. My prognosis, as given by the way, still stands despite appearances. Now, first, as Ruber surmised today, he did not earlier understand the statement. There are no divisions to the self, on an emotional level, or apply it in that way to himself. Instead, the writer was seen in his mind as the dominant part of the self, definitely apart from other portions, and with different goals and purposes. The same can often apply to those with strong abilities in any field. Now, early, some divisions occurred when Ruber picked up the idea that womanhood was no help in being a writer. So, certain aspects of the self were watched. In later years, however, and partially as a result of the relationship between the two of you and your joint ideas, Ruber became worried that he would not do his thing as a writer. All other portions of the self were pared down so that the writer, he thought, could function better. Now, because neither of you wanted children, his books were considered part of his wifely duty, substitutes, he felt, that were better than the originals. He felt, then, that he could produce far better books than he could children. Your sexual lives, despite what you may jointly think, did not suffer on the level in which both of you were working at one time. You were each agreeable to pouring sexual energy into your work. Your own paintings served a husbandly purpose. Ruber married an artist first and a male secondly. You married a poet first and a female secondly. Ruber's feminine characteristics, however, were tied up in his poetry and in his body, so obviously that you could not forget that womanliness. At the same time, because of it, and because of his love for you, Ruber tried to be the good wife by relating to you in the way he thought you wanted him to. As a writer, to be too womanly might bring about the catastrophe of childbirth, and in the terms in which you both operated once, destroy you as artists. Now you have changed many of your beliefs, and partially because of Ruber's example. Behind those beliefs was the belief that spontaneity is an indulgence to be controlled. That good things are not spontaneous, but bad things are. Abilities must then be protected against spontaneous desires, which, it is taken for granted, will lead in another direction. Creativity, and artistic creativity most of all, is spontaneous. It does not have to be forced or protected. Those that have it will use it naturally. It possesses its own drive, as that flower does. Ram noted, as Seth. Jane pointed to the Christmas amaryllis that sat on the coffee table between us. They said it can be encouraged, watched, and tended, but it grows as a natural part of the personality. The drive is built into it, like the seed in a plant. The two go together. There is no one with a great talent who does not use it. For the drive is comparable to the talent, and the whole personality knows about it, as the flower knows about blossoms. The writer cannot grow at the expense of the person, for the writer springs out of the person, and not the other way around. The person is a writer. There can be no writer without a person. An artist is free to use his ability as far as his person is free. The writer cannot survive without the survival of the person. The writer's or the artist's intuitions, sensibilities, inspirations come through his person, through his experiences and temperament. There are no divisions. There is one self. To the extent that a person grows wholly, his abilities grow. This does not mean that the person cannot make conscious decisions as to areas in which he will concentrate his energy. It does mean that he cannot sacrifice himself to one portion of himself, or he will lose even that portion. Rupert felt it was wrong to do anything but right. He felt this also in his relationship with you, that he could serve you best by writing and cutting out all other activities. When he had his last series of excellent improvements, he paid attention to the sessions I gave him on his ideas of work. He cannot smother the person and cultivate the flower of his talent. What he had achieved as a writer and as a psychic has been achieved despite his methods, not because of them. Now, because of his love for you and your seniority, this time he tried to copy you, and temperamentally, while you are more alike than you realize, you are quite different also. Your methods are not necessarily natural to him. This must be clearly recognized. Do you want a break? Rob said no. They said putting chores off is perfectly fine. Rising early is also. Giving yourselves time in which to create is excellent. It gives a framework, but frameworks are to be used. Rupert allows a framework to use him. In one session, he remembers it. I told him to write for 3 hours daily. When he did so, he not only produced excellent work on aspects, but frequently felt the urge to write more. He also improved physically, rather dramatically. A work schedule is necessary for your peace of mind, Joseph. You work well that way, and use the freedom it gives you. Keep the household rules then, but within them, Rupert is to have freedom on his part, while not intruding on your time. He is to write then 3 hours a day, more if he wants to, and is to exercise his freedom as a person the rest of the time. He must see that the writer's freedom and ability is dependent upon his being a free person. Now, those with strong talents are more aware than others of the power of energy. They have chosen to be so aware. Those involved deeply in any art are consciously or unconsciously working in a most intimate manner with the challenges of another kind of creativity. Through their art, they see their beliefs and feelings translated into form. On that level, they are studying the ways in which beliefs and feelings are translated into living reality. They are ready to deal with the joy and the responsibility that others may not as yet understand. So it is easy enough to make errors. The creative abilities have a power that can be confusing, overprotected, or on the other hand, run from. Rupert was trying to do double duty, protecting his abilities and your own. If he remembers his instinctive feeling for nature, he will know that he belongs outside as well as inside. He stated experiments, Rob noted, without our bodies, dreams, etc. They said are excellent, and led him back to himself. For the writer, ideas, carried to extremes, would even have gobbled the dream work, where both are one. Now, take a break or end the session as you prefer. Ralph said, "We'll take the break."